Welcome back. Normally I do a news video on Sunday and a range video on Tuesday on this channel. This week we switched them for reasons. And I know that this isn't really what this channel is about, but the biggest news obviously last week was the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We do Second Amendment news here and gun stuff, but Charlie Kirk was killed by a person with a gun, and he was also a very staunch supporter of the Second Amendment. And I think that there are some lessons that we in the Second Amendment community can learn from this. Now, this is a death that has affected me quite a bit. You know, I didn't know Charlie Kirk personally, but when you see somebody online enough, you start to get to feel like you know that person. And all these people that are on the left that are saying that Charlie Kirk was so full of hate and that he was a Nazi and a bigot and all these things, he was not. I've watched a lot of his content over the years. And as far as I could tell, Charlie Kirk was a really good man, a father and a husband. So they're calling Charlie Kirk a fascist. The murderer, the assassin, called him a fascist. People on the left that are celebrating his death, how sick is that? Are saying, oh, well, it's the death of a fascist, who cares? Well, there is literally nothing more fascist than killing a political opponent because of their speech. All Charlie did was talk and debate people that disagreed with him. But I never really saw him get rude. I never saw him get aggressive. He believed in the free, just ideas, the free flow of ideas back and forth. And of course, he was on the side of conservatives. He believed in God, in his family, and in his country. And those are all things that I agree with 100%. I think that those are probably the three most important things. And the entire reason for the Second Amendment is to protect our country from tyranny. It's also, you know, these things are for protecting our families. And those were two things that were very important to Charlie. A lot of people on the left now are saying, well, look what happened. You know, he supported the Second Amendment and it was a gun that killed him. Is it now time to take away the guns? I don't think Charlie would think so. As much as this is totally tragic, and it really is. I mean, he left behind his beautiful wife, Erica, a very strong woman, if you've seen what she has said since this, and two very young children. It's absolutely horrible. But at the same time, even Charlie Kirk himself said that freedom and liberty is not without a price. And the Second Amendment gives us freedom and liberty. And unfortunately, the price can be a certain number of gun deaths each year. He equated it to car deaths, you know. We have decided that it is worth, you know, I think it's like 50,000 automobile deaths that happen each year, but we're not banning cars because of that, because we as a society, as the whole globe, have decided that, unfortunately, those 50,000 deaths are worth all of the benefits of having cars. And Charlie agreed that the gun deaths, while tragic, are worth having the Second Amendment to uphold our liberties. And I do agree with him. That doesn't mean that he deserved to be gunned down by any means. And it is honestly absolutely sickening what happened to him. What it shows me though, and I know there's a lot of people saying, oh look, this guy was a conservative. He came from a Mormon conservative family. He was not a conservative. The more that they've looked into this, I mean, it looks like the latest stuff that I've seen is that he was actually dating a trans person. Now, is it weird to you or is it just weird to me that so many shootings lately seem to be done by trans or trans adjacent people? They are out to kill us. This is what I am saying in this video, and I know this is not the normal type of video to me, but they are at war with us, whether we like to admit it or not. When something doesn't go our way, we don't burn down cities, we don't kill the people that don't think the way we do, but they do. They've tried to kill Donald Trump twice, they killed Charlie Kirk. When Elon Musk was working with President Trump, they were burning Teslas and firebombing Tesla dealerships. These people are sick and they are out to get us and to commit violence against us. There are a lot of outlets out there in the media, YouTube channels talking about this, people giving, their thoughts on the matter. I'm not going to delve too deep into that because there's a lot of content out there already that I agree with. I'm going to talk about it from the view of a gun channel, a Second Amendment channel. These people hate us. They think and they say that we hate them, but we don't. I don't hate anybody if they're trans, if they're gay, if they're liberal, if whatever. I don't hate them. I think they're wrong. And I think that a lot of them need help, but I don't hate them. And I don't wish violence on any of them. And I think that most of you are probably the same. But they do hate us, and they are violent toward us. Charlie, all he did was speak his mind, and he just happened to have different beliefs than they do, and they killed him for it. And so we need to plan and train accordingly. That is my takeaway from this. So, in the years that I've been a gun owner, I've done a lot of shooting. But for the most part, a lot of it was recreational. I would go out to the range, I'd set up some steel targets, and I'd shoot, and I'd have fun, and I enjoyed it. And by doing that, my skills did get better. Lately, I've gotten together a group. Actually, it wasn't me that organized it, but a guy that I know, a friend of mine, organized a group of us, and he has a really, really cool pistol range that we could set up stages, and he's just got all kinds of good stuff for training. We run drills, we compete in stages, there's long-range targets, all of these things, and we all do it under time, and we score ourselves, and we're competing against each other, but we're also competing against ourselves. And the rounds that I shoot there, doing that, are worth so much more than the rounds that I just mag dump stationary into steel targets, because I'm actually working on improving my skills in case I ever need to protect myself, my family, my home, or my country. And I think that that is the big takeaway from this, is that we need to be prepared, because these people have no problem committing violence against us. And in fact, many, many people on the left have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death. Even high-profile people in the news media, which is absolutely disgusting. But it has showed that they all do believe that violence against conservatives, against gun owners, against straight white people is absolutely justified. They are at war with us, whether we want to admit it or not. And so we need to act accordingly. And by that, I do not mean to commit violence against anyone else. But I do mean to train, be prepared, have a good, solid rifle that you are good with and that you trust and is reliable and your optic is zeroed. Have a good, solid pistol that you trust and is reliable and your optic is zeroed. And train with them. Stock up on ammo. Make sure that you are proficient and that your skills are up to par. Hopefully, we never need to use those skills. But in case we ever do, make sure that you are there, that you are ready, and that you can put those skills to use to protect your family, yourself, and your country and the people that you love. That's all I really have to say in this video. I know it's much more serious than what I normally talk about, but this is something that has affected me quite a bit in the last week. It's a very, very sad thing that happened. Charlie Kirk did not deserve this. His wife and his kids did not deserve this. Our country did not deserve this. These people are sick. And it is not just this one person that did this. When the news media, the mainstream media, calls Donald Trump Hitler, when they talk about Trump supporters as Nazis and fascists, and Charlie Kirk was a staunch Trump supporter. In fact, I think that he had quite a bit to do with Trump winning this last election, which is huge. Now, I don't think that Trump is a perfect president by any means, but he's a heck of a lot better than Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. And so I think that we're lucky that he won the election, and Charlie Kirk had a lot to do with getting the younger conservative vote out to actually vote. And he was killed because of this, because these people hear this, that Trump supporters are Nazis and fascists. And what would you do? If you were in Germany in the late 1930s and you had a chance to take out Hitler or his supporters, of course you would do that. That would be the right thing to do. And so these people, of course, they're thinking that they are doing what is right. And they're sick in the head. There's something wrong with them. I know that, and you know that. And I'm sure some people aren't going to like what I have to say in this video. But if there's one thing that I've learned from Charlie Kirk's assassination, is that instead of silencing Charlie Kirk and his ideas, that we need to take up the mantle and we need to do what he did. And so I'm not afraid to say what I mean. And I do agree with Charlie Kirk on just about everything that I've heard him say. And I think that the people that think that he's a Nazi and a fascist and that he wanted to eradicate the LGBTQ community and he's a white supremacist, all these things that people say, I don't think they've ever watched any of his content because he's never said anything that would lead a logical person to believe that. But I'm going to stop rambling. I've said what I wanted to say in this video. Do not let yourself be silenced because they killed Charlie Kirk, or if they end up killing anybody else that believes the same things that you do. Make sure that you are even louder. And again, like I said, make sure your ammo is stocked up, that you have a good rifle and a pistol, and that you train with it. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like. Make sure you subscribe to Sawtooth Tactical. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with me or not, because just like Charlie Kirk, I am totally fine with opposing viewpoints. There is nothing wrong with discourse as long as it doesn't turn to violence. And from Sawtooth Tactical, stay strapped or get clapped.